What do you think? Are you getting enough sleep? I recently made a big change to my sleeping habits. Well, I guess you could probably more accurately say I recently made a very small change to my sleeping habits and was surprised by what a huge difference it made. Part of this video was sponsored by the Shortform app, so you'll hear more about them later on in the video. Hi everyone, Paul Mikolev here from Autism from the Inside. I make weekly videos sharing the human side of autism, so make sure you hit subscribe to get the latest content. So I've had issues with sleep for a while, and probably not what you might expect when you think issues with sleep, because you kind of get the idea that a problem with sleep would be a lack of sleep, and that is not really the case for me. I've kind of had the opposite problem of just feeling tired all the time for no apparent reason. So we know that autism and sleeping disorders definitely seem to go hand in hand a bit. So it's probably likely that quite a few of you listening to this may have your own challenges with sleep. And for me, I was looking for answers for a long time. You may have seen my video on when I went to a sleep lab and tried to figure out what was going on, spent the night being monitored for the whole night, and then I had to get to sleep every couple of hours for the next day, and they measured my sleep latency and all of that kind of stuff. And the answer that these medical professionals came back with was, "That's really weird. We have no idea what's going on." So not particularly helpful. It did rule out a few things. It meant they said, look, you definitely don't have narcolepsy. Great, good job. I guess that's one more thing that I can rule off the list, of getting slowly closer. And I knew for myself, from my own experience, that my sleep and my migraines had something to do with each other. And I just couldn't quite figure out what. I knew that when I was really tired from too many lights or too much screen time or thinking too much or working too much or having just too much input, thinking too much, then that could often trigger a migraine and it would make it hard to sleep and things like that. But what was the actual cause? Like, which one came first? Was it that I was overstimulated and therefore I couldn't sleep? Or was it that I was too tired and therefore I was getting overstimulated because I couldn't shut my brain off to sleep? Were my migraines causing my inability to focus? Or was my inability to focus a symptom of being overstimulated, and maybe that was causing the migraines? Who knows? All I knew is that I was tired all the time. I had completely forgotten what it was like to actually feel rested, just to feel okay. The closest that I came to that was if I had a migraine and then it was slowly easing up, and then I had a power nap, and then I woke up from the power nap, and then I would not be in any pain and I would actually feel great. It would be absolutely fantastic to not be tired and not be in pain. That's kind of a low bar, I know, but at the time it feels fantastic. So what was I getting wrong? Well, for a long time, I kind of had this idea that too much sleep was leading to my migraines. And that ended up being partially true, because I eventually realized that there's more than one type of rest. There's more than one type of sleep. And if I've already had enough sleep and I'm still mentally tired or overwhelmed, then I can't just sleep until I feel better, because I will just never feel better. I actually did a video on this a couple of weeks ago on how I inserted a rejuvenation cycle into my recovery cycle, basically meaning that I need some playtime, I need some creative, fun things to do, and that's part of the recovery cycle. I can't just work, sleep, work, sleep. So sleep is not enough. And what I realized is that, what I thought at the time, is that too much sleep caused the migraine. Whereas what I realize now is that there are lots of different types of sleep and lots of different ways that a body and a brain can recover. So I read a fantastic book called Why We Sleep, The New Science of Sleep and Dreams. And it taught me a few different things about what to expect around sleep. I'd highly recommend the whole book if you're interested, but if you're the type of person who would prefer a really detailed summary, you might like to try the Shortform app. They've sponsored part of this video, and I'll include a link to a special offer from them in the video description. So I don't know if you can relate to this experience about getting a little bit overexcited about a new topic and reading everything you can about it. But I read this book and I got a new sleep tracker, and I was really conscious of this for a time. And there was one really key lesson that I learned from this. I mean, there were lots of other interesting things that I learned along the way, and I now have a much better understanding of the whole topic and what sleep is supposed to do for you, and why a power nap works really well for me and things like that to kind of clear out my brain. But the one thing that made the most difference was learning about early morning REM sleep. Because it turns out that you get different types of sleep at different parts in your sleep cycle. And towards the very, very end of the sleep cycle, in the early morning, is one of the places where you tend to get a lot of early morning REM sleep. And this is absolutely crucial for mental recovery. And this is one of the things that I was lacking. So previously, my strategy was to set an alarm and to get up at the same time every day and to make sure that I was getting up and doing things, and I didn't want to oversleep because I thought oversleeping was going to lead to my migraines. Whereas what I learned after reading this book, trying out my sleep tracker, measuring my data, seeing how I feel, doing a little bit of an experiment on myself, what I recognized is that there was an hour in the morning when I thought I wasn't sleeping. So my subjective experience is it's 6:30 in the morning, I'm wide awake in bed, the sun's coming through the window, and I think to myself, I might as well get up because there's no point staying in bed. But on the recommendation of this book and my sleep tracker, I tried just sleeping in another hour, 7:30 instead of 6:30, for example. And again, I had the same subjective experience of tossing and turning and not really falling asleep and feeling like I spent the whole hour just resting but not actually asleep. And I was so surprised that my sleep tracker was telling me I had a good extra half an hour REM sleep during that little bit of extra early morning sleep-in time that I thought would have just been a complete waste and I might as well get up. So that was a really big realization for me. And now, the other realization is that I have the distinction between hours in bed versus hours asleep. You kind of think, oh, how much sleep did I get last night? And oh, it's wake up time minus go to bed time. But that is actually not the case because obviously some of the time you might spend awake. So all of this new information was going into my head. I'm thinking, what can I do about it? And I made this one difference. I basically give myself permission to enjoy that extra 1 hour in the morning of not quite asleep, not quite awake, getting that last minute early morning REM sleep. And it made a huge difference to me. Anyway, so that is one thing that I've personally learned about myself. Number one, I actually wasn't getting as much sleep as I thought because even though I spent 8 hours of sleep opportunity, that didn't necessarily mean that I was getting that much sleep. And so I went a bit nerdy on the sleep tracker and measuring all the data and all of that, which was really fun. And the other thing is that there are different types of quality of sleep, and me allowing myself to get that extra sleep in the morning is a big difference compared to having a power nap later or compared to going to bed earlier. I remember a meme once saying, equal rights for sleep. Why is early morning sleep not valued as much as, going to bed? Why is getting up late seen as lazy and going to bed early seen as productive? So as it turns out, there are different types of sleep and different qualities of sleep. And so I thought I'd share that with you. I wonder if you feel that you're getting enough sleep. A very interesting statistic that I read from this book was that apparently a very large number of people, maybe a third of people, get less than 6 hours of sleep a night, which means that if you're watching this, there's a high chance that that might be you. So thanks for watching. If you're interested in the book I was reading, it's called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. And if you'd like a detailed summary of the book instead of reading the whole thing, then you might like to try the Shortform app. It's basically really detailed book summaries that you can get based on a subscription. And there's a special offer from them in the video description if you'd like to try that. It's basically really detailed book summaries, including a one-page overview and also detailed chapter summaries as well. So check out the link in the video description if you'd like a free trial, and there's also a discount on yearly subscriptions available there too. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'm really curious to hear what sleep is like for you in the comments. Thanks, bye.